making sure that the job is good, or making sure that, you know, everybody else is good, and then I fall by the wayside.
Mhm.
So like I said, I think really staying true, like my at my core, staying true to myself, doing stuff a little scared,
Mhm.
you
Mhm.
know. At the end of the day, like I explained to my husband when I left the job, I said, worst case scenario, I will go back and get a job. If
Mm.
like I said, if all my agents leave me, if all my clients leave me, I'll I
Yeah.
have my master's degree to lean on, my
Yeah.
Spelman education to lean on. I can get a job, you know. But again, just doing things a little scared.
Yeah.
And, you
Yeah.
know, I mean, at the end of the day, I'm not a super big risk taker.
Mhm.
Um, but you know, I have a little bit like I'm like, okay, no problem. I'll give it a try. And then again, if I'll just pivot right back if necessary.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So, you talked a little bit about taking care of you, right? And a part of thrive, the E is for enjoy. And so I'd love to know, and for the folks who are here listening, how do you find joy? How do you cultivate joy? How do you fit that in? Because it sounds like that's an important part in making sure that you're living the life that you want to live right now.
I mean, you know, I'm an avid traveler, so that really
Well, tell the
tell the
people,
people, okay.
where do
All
you
right.
travel to?
Uh,
Tell them your mindset around travel.
okay. So again, I always say like I need breaks, right? So
Mm,
now granted, like prime example, with these all these closures in Georgia, school closures in Georgia right now, I'm like, wait a minute. Like during the day, it's Raquel time, you know, like I can focus.
the babies
Everybody's
have to go
gone.
see their friends. They
They
need to go
got to
to
see their
school.
friends. The husband got to see his coworkers. Like all y'all need to go. Like so, you know, pretty much, you know, your 8 to 5 is I get my time to focus on like work per se.
Yep,
But
yep.
also too, because I will work sometimes from home, and I'll also sometimes work from the gathering spot, which I have a membership to,
Mhm.
kind of mix it up a little bit. But as far as travel, I think what it does is it takes me out of the environment and gives me time to refresh myself and just be like, okay, I don't want, and again, I love everybody in my house. I will do
Mhm.
any and everything for them, but I need a break. And
Mm,
again, I think that goes back to the only child in me, because I'm like, I didn't grow up with noise in my house. You know,
yep.
like I mean,
Mm,
there was, I made the noise. So
yep, yep.
if I was sick of myself, I'd just be quiet. But you know, there it's just like like dealing with, even I sometimes I tell my husband, I'm like, I don't know how to navigate sibling like
Mhm.
issues. I never had to do it.
Yep, yep.
Um, but kind of removing myself in the sense of taking a solo trip, or like meeting up with the girls,
Mhm.
or you know, um gives me time to just kind of like come down from everything and just like, you know, again, I'm not worried about, in a sense of who's getting picked up, who's getting dropped off, you know, do they have a game? Do they have a this? Do they have a, I can just be like, are we going to the beach? Are we going to the
Right,
mall? Or are we
right,
doing both?
right, right. Absolutely, absolutely,
um, and
yeah,
then I think what helps with that too is having that support system behind me, right?
yeah,
So
yeah.
one of the things that I do is if we have like kind of over longer trips, where because even my husband looks, like I said, he and I have to take trips away from the
Mhm.
kids,
Yep.
because again, it's hard in this house. Like, there's three of them, 9, 9, 7, and 4,
Mhm.
and they all need me. They all want to be up under me, and again, like
Yeah,
it's sweet to a degree,
yeah,
and then
yeah,
it'd be like, okay, all
yeah,
right,
yeah.
you know.
It's finding
uh,
that balance,
It,
right?
it is. It's finding the balance. And, you know, again, I think because as I mentioned before, the precedent was kind of set when I went to grad school. So it was like, I'm taking
Mhm.
this trip.
Mhm. Mhm.
My dad will be here to support if necessary. Your parents will be here to support. Or, and like I said, if it's me and the husband going on the trip, then I may fly my cousin in. She's 23,
Mhm.
and will help me navigate kind of getting them to school and getting them together
Mhm.
while we're away. But yeah, I mean, it definitely gives me an opportunity to take a mental break
Mhm.
from all of the busyness of the household.
Absolutely, absolutely. So many questions are coming up for me, Raquel. I mean, certainly watching you mother, right, and watching you run your own business and lead life has certainly, I don't want to say given me permission to like do some of those things, but it certainly has provided me another sense of like, oh, this is how it can be done, right? To be a great mom, to be a businesswoman, to be a full-time employee, to be, a woman who takes care of herself, right? And goes out and gets dressed up and all those things. All of those can happen, right? And you can find fulfillment in all of them. And I've been using the word balance, but I want to be careful because let's be clear, it's not a balance, right? It is not. Sometimes the kids get a whole bunch, right? And something else is falling to the wayside. And other times, you're getting a lot of support or giving a lot of support and energy elsewhere. But you mentioned, flying your cousin in terms of, your village. And I'd love to hear just a little bit around the support you bring into your life. And I want to frame this, quite honestly, from either like a generational perspective and even quite honestly from a socioeconomic perspective, right? Like the ability to, have support outside of your home to get things done. Talk to us just a little bit about like how that what it is you do, but how does that help you as a professional Black mom to run your businesses and to be whole as a woman, a wife, and a mother?
Yeah, so I mean, going as far as like I said, my cousin goes, what I do is like I said, if me and the husband have a trip planned, then I will say, "Hey, Mia, can you come in this
Mhm.
time period and watch the kids for us?" We definitely do compensate her for her time. So there is the flight that I do have to pay. So I mean, when I'm budgeting for the trip, I have to budget for her, you
Right,
know. So
right,
I'm like,
right.
okay, so we got the cost of the trip plus the cost of her coming. Another big thing that happened relatively recently in 2020, my dad moved from California out here. So he's a big help, and I kind of call him my ad hoc help, right? So
Right.
if I'm like, man, okay, so I had plans to pick up Skylar, then take her here, and then do this, that I can be like, Dad, can you go pick up Colin for me? And
Mhm.
sure, because he's
Yeah.
retired.
Yep,
So he,
yep, yep.
and so he's definitely a big support. Caleb's parents support us a lot. They also live locally. And then honestly, not being afraid to ask friends, right? So I've had to like lean on friends and be like, hey, can you watch the kids for me real quick? I gotta go to this event or I'm speaking at an event. Caleb is gone and
Yeah.
my dad is not available or out of town and I'm obviously not gonna fly somebody in to watch the kids for a couple hours. So I'll lean on Spellman sisters. I'll lean on some of my sorority sisters to say, hey, can y'all please watch these kids for me? So I definitely have been blessed with a very, very robust network of
Mhm.
people that I can lean on. But also, too, one of the things that I've kind of implemented in my life is I call it outsourcing.
Mhm.
So,
Mhm.
for example, I have two daughters, have a lot of hair. And what I found was when I was first
And
doing
your
their
hair.
yeah, yeah. And when I was doing their hair, it like, it's like the crying and then I'm like, oh my God, it doesn't hurt. And, yes, it does. Oh my God. And I was just like, okay. So then I found a kid salon that does like braids and it also keeps their hair looking much more neat. They
Mhm.
can just pretty much wake up, put a little bit of oil in the scalp and you off to school versus like, okay, let me brush and let me, do all this and that. And
Mhm.
I personally, I probably am over thinking it, but I was like, maybe this is putting a strain on my mother-daughter relationship. So now, like I said, I take them to a lady and we've built a rapport with her, whereas I can drop them off, walk them in, and I basically have 2 to 3 hours to do what I need to do. So
Right.
sometimes like if I had a closing recently and I need some checks to deposit, I'm like, all right, dropping y'all off, headed to the bank, run some errands real quick, come back and pick y'all up.
Mhm.
A lot of things too, we have a lot of people coming to our house. So
Mhm.
even before we started using this lady where I would drop them off, we had a lady coming to our house to braid their hair.
Mhm. Mhm.
The barber comes and cuts my son's hair
Mhm.
and Caleb's beard since he's bald. um, but then we have like the car wash person. He comes to the house. And when I was working out before I had my car accident, I the trainer was coming to the house because I was like, it just makes it so much more convenient. And it honestly, especially like the working out part, it forced me to do it, right? Because like now I'm like, it's 20 degrees outside in Georgia. I don't want to go outside. But if again, if I know someone is here
Mhm.
waiting for me, I'm like, I don't got no choice.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
gotta do it.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So let me connect the dots for folks, right? Like why I think this conversation is so important, right? Quite honestly, all the things that you discussed, the outsourcing, right, costs money, right? It costs real dollars. And the fact of the matter is, Black and brown women, we are not paid at the same rate as other folks when we hold the same title and sometimes have even more credentials, right? There is research, there is evidence that we are oftentimes paid much less. And so now we're at work, sometimes catching HE double hockey sticks there, not getting paid what we need to get paid, coming home and having all of the daily life tasks that need to get done, not even the compensation, right, to be able to enjoy the life that we've built, right, in order to outsource some of these things or to take vacations or to have support to come in. So all of this really is all tied together.
Yeah,
And how do we think about making changes and pivoting in our lives given the season that we're in? And being a working mom is hard anyway, right? Don't take that for being a mother is hard anyway. I don't
yeah,
take that from anyone. And being a Black and brown mom just adds that additional layer of complexity and challenge because all of the things that you're talking about, require access to funds, right?
they do.
Access to networks and people. And so that's why it's so important that I think we have conversations to highlight, one, the discrepancies, right? The inequities, the systemic inequities that exist, and talk about what we as Black and brown women need to do to protect ourselves and to ensure that we are doing what is best for us. And sometimes that is
Absolutely.
making the hard decision. And I want to be clear, what's best for us is not necessarily what's best for somebody else. It
Absolutely.
starts all back to your core values, right? Starts
Hmm.
back to the values that you have and what is important to you and the season of life that you're in, for sure.
Absolutely.
I want to be cognizant of time. Folks have been so gracious to wait on us. We're a bit over time, and I see some folks are still around. But I want to end really with asking you, Raquel, you know, visualizing success. I don't know if you could have imagined when we were freshmen in Manley Hall that this is where you would be.
No.
Um, so I'd love to just ask you, can you describe the time when you really started to visualize this victory or this life that you have now, um, and how it's helped you to maybe overcome self-doubt or to do it when you're scared?
So, no, ironically, on like my birthday post this year, I said, the woman I am today, I couldn't have imagined it. So again, lost my mother when I was 10. So
Mhm,
didn't know, really up from down at that point. So the girl going into middle school, the girl going into high school, the girl coming to Spelman,
mhm,
even going into grad school, could not have pictured this lifestyle, right? um but like I do sit and currently and reflect regularly, and I'm just like, wow, like, okay, like you legit left your job that paid you every 2 weeks to go full entrepreneurship, and nobody has missed a beat, and I mean, and it really truly, it just shows me the grace of God, and then really truly leaning into your purpose.
mm,
I
mm,
did not understand when I was waiting to start my corporate job,
mhm,
why my cousin suggested that I go get my real estate license.
mm.
I was like, okay, why not? I'll just sell houses on the side.
Right, right.
I didn't think that that would be my ticket to being able to have this flexible lifestyle and be full-time entrepreneur. And quite frankly, when I started the business, I had no necessarily intent on being a full-time entrepreneur.
Yeah, yeah,
It
yeah.
really just like picked up and just was, the constant support of the network.
Mhm.
My first client was a Spelman sister. My second and third clients were Spelman sisters. My fourth client was a Morehouse brother. So like
Yeah.
being I mean, I guess I literally like sometimes get chills like you went from like did again not you met me August of 2002.
I did. I saw you.
You saw it. You
You were
saw
there.
it. You have witnessed the transition. But I like I said, I really I've been very I don't even sometimes unconsciously intentional,
Mhm.
about like again just building the business, building the network.
Yeah.
So again, working in a brokerage, I have 16 agents that work under me. And I was
Wow.
like, how did we get here? Like, and again, I love it, right? Like I'm like, this is amazing.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
when we started the business, it was just like, let's just do a brokerage because we want to do property management. And now it's like, it's a thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a thing. And we're going into our 8th year with this thing that is actually lucrative and again building that knowledge base, and now I can consider myself a subject matter expert in real estate.
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
don't claim to know everything and never will, but can get people to the finish line through some very, very complicated scenarios, can help my agents get to this finish line with through some very complicated scenarios. But again, like, could I have envisioned this? No.
Mm. Yeah.
But am I loving it? Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Are there hard days? Absolutely. Are there
Yeah.
days that I'm like, Jesus, like, do I still want to do? Okay, okay, you know. Then I start to go back to some of those memories of the past, and I'm like, wait, nope, nope. We gonna muscle through.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
We gonna get through this. But you're absolutely right. I definitely have been very fortunate financially, to be able to outsource these different things. Um, and I don't take that for granted. I definitely am one that like I'm very charitable. I'm gonna give back. I have to because again I've been afforded way too much
Yeah. Yeah.
not to.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Raquel, it's been such a pleasure chatting with you. Thank you for your incredible insights and just being vulnerable and sharing pieces of your life and story with us. As mentioned, Thrive Life Coaching is all about empowering Black and Brown women. Thrive actually stands for transformation, having healthy habits, rest, identifying your core values, visualizing victory, and enjoy. So that is the Thrive. That's what it stands for. And Raquel certainly exhibits so much of what Thrive really means. So it's so exciting to have her here with us. Raquel, if you could let the folks know how they can find you on social media. You've talked a lot about your real estate company. Share with folks if they have ever need of your services.
Okay. So if you want to follow the business, you can be found on Instagram and Facebook at Millennial Properties Realty, and that's 2 L's and 2 N's. So MILLENNIAL Properties Realty. My personal page is Rocky ROCKIE_O, kind of like Jackie O. And as I mentioned, Millennial Properties Realty is a full service real estate brokerage helping buyers buy, sellers sell, landlords and tenants lease in commercial and real estate, commercial and residential real estate transactions. Um, and our mantra is helping you build generational wealth through real estate. I also do urban planning consulting on the side, where I'm helping people navigate through the zoning, planning, permitting processes through various jurisdictions. And I also am a travel agent.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, definitely doing it all and finding fulfillment in doing it all. So thank you. Thank you. To everyone listening live, thank you. Thank you. Thank you so, so much. I think my mom and dad are out there somewhere. Thank you. I think my hubby is out there. Thank you. First live. I will not start going down the list of folks, but my heart so, so warm just by your support, your love and care. I appreciate you being a part of this very special moment in this part of my journey. And if you're listening to replay, thank you as well. I do want to let folks know just how you can continue to support Thrive Life Coaching as we are just getting started. This is just the beginning. I'm so excited about this chapter. I am most definitely doing it scared. And The folks out there who really know me, if you really know me, you know that I'm a bit of a perfectionist. And so you'll be glad to know I did not completely freak out when the live did not work
You did good. She
for
did
about
very
10
well.
minutes.
She
Raquel
did
can
very
attest.
well.
I
Yes.
have changed as well. And then you're gonna get this good flyer that you're just gonna get the flyer that you see. So you're gonna get the information. You can ignore the little header at the top, but four ways that you can support Thrive Life Coaching. First and foremost, we live in a social media world. Please, please follow us on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. A lot of our content will be coming through LinkedIn and then going out to those other media outlets, just because this is about supporting women in their careers, particularly Black and Brown women in their careers. So certainly just want your support there. Apply to join TLC groups. So if you enjoyed this conversation and you are at a place, a Black or Brown woman who is looking to thrive in motherhood, womanhood, and in your career, and you would love some support, I'd love to have you to be a part of the very first cohort that is going to start February 5th. You can go to the website and apply to our TLC groups. Also, subscribe to our mailing list. You'll get some nice insights, some information, some of my thoughts around just being a Black woman and being a mother and excelling in my career. And then last but not least, please, please share with your networks. I've been so grateful for those who have just, you know, shared, reshared, reposted any of the information. And so, if you know a Black or Brown woman in your life, please, please do share. Just because you are not a Black or Brown woman does not mean you can't do any of these. Encourage you to do all of them except apply for the TLC groups. That is exclusively safe space for Black and Brown women. But thank you all. Lastly, but not least, is I hope to be here again next week, same time, hopefully on time at 8:30, with another special guest. I'm super excited about our next guest with at Live with Thrive. And so please, please come back and join us same place, same time next week. Thank you all again for coming to spend time with us. And we'll
Thank you for having me, Allison.
awesome. Thank you.